Biden family drama. According to an AmeriCorps trustee, President Biden's brother James Biden received $600,000 from the struggling healthcare company after promising to use his last name to bring them funding from the Middle East. But the president's brother never delivered, so now the company is suing, demanding he pay back the $600,000. On March 1st of 2018, James received a wire for $200,000 from AmeriCorps, and on the same day allegedly paid Joe Biden the same amount from a personal loan repayment. The House Oversight Committee is investigating if President Biden has documentation confirming the personal loan to his brother.
These three young men, near honors students all, I don't think they deserve to have their bright futures ruined by a momentary, minute, never to be repeated lapse of judgment.
I said, no, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch, got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
It's so good. I love that meme. I love it. My clients are honor students. Okay, they're great. They'll never do it again. They'll never do it again. It is Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. We are doing the show again, baby. We are back in the studio, and we got Christmassy. Look at all the great Christmas lights. You even got candy canes. We got candy canes on the AR-15s. There they are. Look at that. I love that. Fantastic. Well done, Rolls-Royce, Christmasifying the studio. We got presents under the tree for you, baby, in the form of a $600,000 loan check given to Joe Biden from his dirtbag brother, James Biden, who couldn't provide any real services for AmeriCorps. We're still in the intro, Royce. We're still doing the intro. My bad. Royce. You leave the studio for like 2 days, and Royce is going all crazy. Biden's age denialism causes more tension at the White House, and Kash Patel joins the show, this time for real. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. There you go, Royce. Now we're through the intro. Can you tell that we're gearing up for the Christmas season here? Can you tell? Can you tell that we're a little bit loose right now? And also, by the way, Christmas season, I don't normally do the show in a jacket, but it's freezing right now. We do the show out of Tampa, Florida. It is freezing. What is the temperature where you are today? Is it really cold where you are? Shout yourself out and shout the place that you're watching out in the comment section. We have a large community here, and we are really excited about the future. We just came from America Fest in Phoenix. We had a wonderful time. We met thousands of people who were there, who were patriots, and it's really encouraging for the movement. It warms your heart, right? To be among such fellow patriots and to be able to actually like break bread and meet people, and it's just awesome. It's just amazing. We did a selfie line for like 2 hours, and it was awesome. We just love this stuff, and it's encouraging, and it lets you know that you're on the right side. It lets you know that like you are the majority in the country, and that we are not alone. And it's a tactic of the left, actually, to make you feel alone. It's a tactic to make you feel as though you're the only person that thinks the way that you do. And the way that they do that is by lying to you. We are living through right now the most sophisticated and long-term psyop in American history, the most permeating and obsessive psyoping of the American public. There's a CIA director that said, "We'll know when our mission is complete when nothing the American public believes is real." ALX, find me that quote. It's a director of the CIA. He says, "Our mission at the CIA will be complete when everything the American public believes is false." There's a real quote from a director. We'll name him in just a second. And the more you look at the current media environment, the more you recognize how that system operates. The more you recognize that when Tucker Carlson says that there are literally agents of the intelligence agencies that just sit on TV at CNN and repeat. Here we go. Here's the quote, ladies and gentlemen. William J. Casey, CIA director. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. We can show you the results of a generation raised on CIA propaganda and disinformation. We can show you the results of that. We have it on tape. And we're going to get into this long litany of a collapse in the Biden crime family because something's happening with the Bidens, okay? Something's going on right now. We're going to detail like second by second how things are ratcheting up quickly. They're going after now his daughter. They're going after his granddaughters. Suddenly, like as we predicted, the world is collapsing around the Bidens. And that's because they control the Bidens. The Bidens are simply a product of this world, and these people have no souls. These people are they're goblins. They're criminals. They don't love you. They don't love this nation. Joe Biden was only ever a tool. Now, while Joe Biden was useful in getting rid of Donald Trump, he was allowed to lie with impunity. He was allowed to psyop the country with impunity. Again, our mission is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Watch this clip in action. Joe Biden efforting and proving how this system works. Joe Biden is asked by a reporter about his son's business in Ukraine. Everyone knew it was corrupt. The Obama administration knew it was corrupt. We've shown you the cables from the State Department. It's clearly on its face, open corruption. Joe Biden asked about it, and see if you can see the telltale signs of psyoping, disinformation, and just on its face lying to the American public. And how does Joe Biden get away with it? Because he is protected, but not for long. Watch.
On your son, Hunter Biden, President Trump says, Sleepy Joe has real problems. Reminds me of Crooked Hillary and her 33,000 deleted emails. A lot of the Ukraine charges about you have been debunked and more unfair. There's one thing that a lot of Democrats even do wonder about, and that is Hunter Biden, your son, was getting paid a lot of money to serve on the board of a Ukrainian energy company facing serious corruption charges. You were the vice president running point on Ukraine. The average Joe hears that and says, that sounds fishy. What's your understanding of what your son was doing for an extraordinary amount of money?
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it. And there's nobody...
Well, you've had a lot of time. Isn't this something you want to get to the bottom of?
No, because I trust my son.
But that doesn't pass the smell test. Like when you're vice president, isn't there a higher standard? Don't you need to know what's happening with your family? Don't you need to put down some guardrails?
Unless there was something that was, there was something on its face that was wrong. There's nothing on its face that was wrong. So look, if you want to talk about problems, you know, let's talk about Trump's family. I mean, come on. This is... These guys are amazing.
So you think that everything that happened was kosher?
You know there's not one single bit of evidence, not one little tiny bit, to suggest anything done was wrong. You know that. But you keep asking me these questions. It's okay.
Isn't that amazing? Have you ever heard a Republican talk like that? Isn't it incredible, the privilege that Democrats get? That where they tell the reporters what to ask? Now, by the way, this is not a right-wing media company that Joe Biden's sitting down with. This is a left-wing media company. And Joe Biden is ordering them to ask questions, telling them what they know. It's so humiliating. And by the way, that guy's named Mike Allen, right? He runs a site called Axios. And Mike Allen is sitting there being badgered, beat up, and black-eyed by Joe Biden. You know there's not one single thing. You know it, don't you, Mike? Like an abused girlfriend, like in an abusive relationship. Don't you know that? You fell down the stairs and hit your eye on the doorknob. That's what happened. You were up late getting a glass of milk. Nothing wrong here, copper. It's incredible. That clip is incredible. Hanging in the Smithsonian. The way that it works is Joe Biden is allowed to lie until he's not, right? And that ticket, that train is coming to an end. Joe Biden's allowed to do anything he wants. It really is amazing. The training is remarkable. Did you see what happened there too? Like, why don't you ask about Trump? You jackass. Hey, ask about Trump. Well, what about Trump's family? Like, they've been investigated till kingdom come. all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't find anything wrong with Donald Trump. Well, why don't you ask about his family? Come on, man. You're incredible. Ooh, it's mob tactics. And there's a through line here to everything that the Biden's doing. It's mob tactics. It's simply mafioso. Strong man, strong arming tactics. And when finally faced with it, not from a reporter, but from an American citizen, a Democrat voter, when a Democrat voter finally asked Joe Biden to his face about the overt, blatant, egregious corruption of his family, demonstrably proven, Joe Biden's, when none of it would work, when nothing else would work, Joe Biden goes, look, fat, I can do push-ups. just a reminder, what a great timeline we live in. Look, fat.
Get access to the president. So you're selling access to the president just like he is. So
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that. No one has ever said that.
I see it on the TV.
You see it on the TV. No, I know you do. And by the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I don't get up and let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people now. And I can get things done, and that's why I'm running. And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together, man. Let's do this run. Let's do whatever you want to do. My son has done everything wrong, and I did not on any occasion. And no one has ever said it. Now,
I didn't say you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
That's what I read here on MSNBC.
Oh, you don't hear that on MSNBC. We did not hear that at all. What you heard? Look, okay, I'm not going to get around with you, man.
Well, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, you do, but look, fat, look, here's the deal.
Look, fat. Look, here's the deal. Look, fat. This from the body positivity party. This from the the party that is against body shaming. Hey, your kid is openly and overtly corrupt. You're fat. I can do more push-ups than you. Oh, it's amazing when the system collapses. And now it's collapsing. The FBI is releasing tapes of the Bidens on tape, recordings, to the corporate press, committing crimes. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's coming down. It's happening. Coming down in Chinatown. Something's going on right now where the hit has been put out on the Bidens, right? Proverbially, saying, we're done protecting these people. Think about it in mafia tactics. In mafia tactics, what happens is you run the gas station or the convenience store, the bodega on the corner, and a guy shows up, a goon squad guy shows up and says, you got to pay us for protection. Now, they don't really provide you protection. The opposite is true. If you don't pay them, they'll hurt you. That's exactly what the Biden family was. Think about that metaphorically. You've seen it in every Scorsese movie or every, Francis Ford Coppola movie. It's the same thing. As we get to our first story here, and as we get to these FBI recordings, think about it in terms of pay the Biden family for protection. Otherwise, the goon squad will come after you and break your knees. It's the opposite of everything they're selling. And what are they selling? Well, nobody is quite sure. This is what we're learning today in breaking news from the House Oversight Committee. James Biden, given a loan, didn't provide services to a healthcare company. This healthcare company is called AmeriCorps, despite promises to use last name. So now the Republicans on Capitol Hill are getting into effectively the businesses that were defrauded by the Bidens, and having these businesses come forward and being like, they promised us that they would use their connections to get dirty foreign money to flow in and save our businesses. And that's what they were selling. They're the mafia. They're the mob, right? These guys are two-timing, two-bit mob goons. James Biden, the brother of President Joe Biden, didn't provide any services to a healthcare company, name is AmeriCorps, despite obtaining a $600,000 loan from the struggling healthcare company that promised that his name could bring funding from the Middle East, which never materialized, Fox News has learned. Carol Fox, Chapter 11 trustee for the financially distressed medical operator, spoke with members of the House Oversight Committee in an interview where she detailed AmeriCorps' relationship with James Biden. Fox said that the loan was provided to Biden with no documentation in return for his promise of funding from the Middle East that never came. She filed a lawsuit against Biden saying he made representations that his last name, Biden, will open doors and that he could obtain a large investment from the Middle East based on political connections. The suit demanded $600,000 loan be paid back to AmeriCorps, and transcribed interview with the committee, Fox said that she didn't see records or documentation of the loan to AmeriCorps, which of course is on its face illegal. On March 1st, 2018, AmeriCorps wired $200,000 loan from the personal accounts of James Biden to Sarah Biden. That same day, James Biden wrote a check to $200,000 to Joe Biden. Some immediate questions President Biden must answer for the American people. Does he have documents proving he lent such a large sum of money to his brother? What were the terms of such a financial agreement? James Comer said. So this is the system that they were running. You sell Joe Biden's political office. Joe Biden then uses that political office to get foreign corrupt money to flow into your company, and you get paid off, and Joe Biden gets paid off. It is the most on its face, egregious act of public corruption we have ever seen. And will they get away with it? Well, we're not exactly sure, ladies and gentlemen. We're not sure. We'll see what Republicans come up with. They have formalized the impeachment inquiry into the Bidens. And ladies and gentlemen, they are finding more and more of these direct payments into Joe Biden's bank account. Will Joe Biden be able to get away with it? Again, it does seem a little bit strange that now new tapes are being revealed of the Biden families committing crimes. Who has these tapes? The FBI. Why are they dropping now in the Washington Post? Because the hit has gone out. I don't know what the end plan is, but I know this. The powers in Washington, D.C. do not want Joe Biden to run again. And so they are dropping now tapes, and we'll show you this story from the Daily Mail, tapes, recordings of the Bidens. This is a warning shot. We got you. We got you by the balls, bitch. This is what the intel agencies, the three-letter agencies, and federal law enforcement are effectively saying in tapes like this. FBI secretly tapes Joe Biden's brother as part of an investigation into the lawyer's bribing of a local judge years after the disgraced attorney paid James Biden's firm $100,000 to help push a tobacco settlement. So the same mafia tactics lined up here. The Bidens get money for political favors. Biden family gets money for political favors, okay? Doesn't matter what the favor is. Here's money, make something go away. The mob. And it's so mob that, in fact, Joe Biden's brother has now been captured on tape via the FBI. Here's James Comer talking about that bombshell in the Washington Post, because, of course, the FBI would go to the Washington Post to sneak them the tapes, Nixon all over again. They got him on tape. And this is what the collapse looks like for the Biden regime. Watch.
First question to you is this. James Biden, an important character in all of this. We know about the $40,000 check from James to Joe. I know you've been in talks with his attorney. He didn't show up for his date when he was supposed to have his deposition. Do you think he comes before Congress?
I think James Biden will come before Congress. I think we'll eventually get Hunter Biden. Look, we've seen Joe Biden say that anyone who defies a congressional subpoena should be held accountable and they should be locked up. So we're going to see if his attorney general is going to be as aggressive with the Biden family at defying subpoenas as he was at anyone that was involved in any of the Trump investigations. But look, this is more evidence every day of the Bidens being involved in schemes that involved influence peddling around the world. That's what we found out with the FBI tapes that no one knew about until this Washington Post story surfaced on Sunday.
Isn't that interesting? Is it what timing, by the way? How does the Washington Post get FBI recordings? How do they get tapes from fraudulent activity via the Bidens? These are warning shots. Read the tea leaves. It's over. The FBI is now leaking tapes to the Washington Post. Now, here's what the tapes sounded like. We have them here. What you'll see here is effectively a screen recording of the Washington Post article about the hatchet job done on the Bidens, saying, we have you on tape. And what is this actually a warning sign about? This is a warning sign from the Bidens about a much more dangerous tape that the FBI has. The FD 1023 tape. We're going to go revisit this in a moment here. But first, let me play you the recordings of Joe Biden's brother talking about being literally a whore for money on the tapes. You're going to love this. And you'll see it embedded in the Washington Post piece. Again, how does this Washington Post reporter discover these tapes? The FBI hands them to him as a warning shot against the Bidens. Yo, baby, things are happening. They're happening really, really fast. Check it out.
And I told him that we had formalized our relationship with you guys, told him about the real Washington presence, that this was not going to be, a bullshit, shingle hung somewhere in a window, that this was a real deal, that Sarah was coming on, as a named partner, equity share in the venture, that we were changing the name of the firm to include her. Told her that, Hunter was going to be involved and you were going to be involved.
My hesitancy to be an opportunist, and
sure.
Everybody is jumping on him.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with opportunists. Sarah just rolled her eyes at me. But to being a whore about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's just jumping in. Like, let me do your insurance. Let me do your legal.
So my wife's rolling her eyes at me because I'm being a whore here. It's like getting a fish delivered to you, right? In the mob. They're sending a message to the Bidens. They're saying, we got you. We got you on tape. You want to start this game? We got you. The FBI is pissed for a number of reasons at Joe Biden. Joe Biden has embarrassed the FBI. The FBI has been covering up for Joe Biden, and this all stems, obviously, from a number of whistleblower complaints and an FD 1023 that the FBI never wanted you to see, but you can see nonetheless. The FD 1023 is a form that I didn't know about, but we've become familiarized about, having to do with a confidential source that comes to the FBI, that the FBI trusts, that says something criminal has happened. And what that source said, thankfully, we know this because we can show you the FD 1023 here on screen. What the source said was, Joe Biden is shaking down oligarchs in Ukraine. We know this because Joe Biden's on tape doing it. We know this because the Ukrainian oligarchs have recorded those tapes. And that is an insurance policy. And here are the tapes. This is in the FD 1023. Chuck Grassley on the Senate floor talking about how there are tapes of Joe Biden personally pushing for bribes from Ukrainian oligarchs while in office. The FBI has these tapes. They exist. And what's going on here when you see them put out this little stuff in the Washington Post, like, we have your brother. We have your brother. Like, we've been recording your family. It's a warning. Chuck Grassley saying the FBI has the tapes. Watch.
The 1023 produced to the House committees redacted reference that the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them. 17 such recordings. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then Vice President Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case that he got into a tight spot.
Do you know how recordings work in the federal government? You know how this kind of stuff happens? There are always people listening in on federal government lines. Anybody who's ever worked in administration can tell you this, and anybody who's ever worked for the vice president, the president, or any cabinet secretary, there's always a minder, a listener in the federal government. This is actually how Donald Trump got in trouble for his phone call with Zelensky. there are a bunch of little goblins listening in, waiting for Donald Trump to say something like, the Bidens are corrupt. And then they impeached him for it, right? And the past is prologue, embarrassing, but that's how they actually got Trump. They have these little minders listening in on these calls. They're recording everything. And they have the documentation. You just heard there from Chuck Grassley that Joe Biden was straight up asking, like demanding bribes whilst he was overseeing Ukraine for Barack Obama. So when do those tapes drop? How much of the Ukraine war is because of those tapes? How much of the Ukraine war is a smokescreen so that Joe Biden can be sure that those tapes that were recorded by the oligarch never see the light of day? They're destroyed in a fire. Oh boy. How much of that? How much of our federal government's involvement in Ukraine is actually a cover-up for Joe Biden's activity in Ukraine? And the bribery, the biolabs, all of it. Will we ever know? Well, we have Hunter Biden on tape. Just in case you're wondering of a sign of things to come, here's Hunter Biden saying the only reason he got the Ukraine job in the first place was because the Ukrainians thought his name was gold. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have it, Royce? No. We don't have it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Royce is loading up the clip. It's right here it's right here. They're right there. Biden audio right there. I see it. There you go. Okay. Go.
I think it played a large part, and I write about this in the book. As I said, I think that they saw my name as gold. And one of the reasons that they did was this. Right at that period of time, the Russians had invaded and taken Crimea, and they were after the natural resources and the pipeline. And I know that Burisma wanted to do one thing, is that they wanted to create a bulwark against that Russian aggression. They knew that they had to expand internationally and into other sectors in order to be able to diversify and protect themselves. And the Biden name is synonymous with democracy and transparency. And that's why I said that it was gold to them.
My name was gold to these Ukrainians. What else will be gold? Well, it'll be a golden moment when the FBI finally says, oh, well, what do you know? We have Joe Biden on the record. We have the tapes. We have the recordings. Now, our friend Greg Kelly at Newsmax has been saying this for a very long time. Greg Kelly on his show, which is a very popular, very well-watched show on Newsmax, has been saying that there are tapes and that his sources inside the intel agencies say that they have Biden dead to rights. Biden is a controlled asset and that they can destroy him at any time. And that those tapes will be dropped and will be used to end Biden. Now, Greg gave a window of those tapes being dropped this fall. That didn't happen. What we did find out about is the existence of these tapes. And now we're starting to get more little clippings of the Bidens put into the Washington Post saying, we got you. We got you. Think about Epstein's oil painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress going like this. We got that? That's Epstein. That's Epstein saying, I got you. This is how these people operate. They do it in public. It's overt. And that's what's happening right now to the Bidens. Here's Greg Kelly previewing effectively what these tapes are going to be.
But he hasn't seen the half of it yet. There is an audio tape, I am told, by people in the know, not necessarily in government, not necessarily out of government. I can't say too much. But there is incontrovertible evidence of Joe Biden's corruption that is about to be made public. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen before Labor Day, but it will happen sometime between Labor Day and Halloween. This tape will be made public. I'm not sure by what entity at this point, but once it is heard, Joe Biden will have, well, he'll have only two options. Number one, he will not be able to remain a candidate for the presidency for re-election. It will be over and done with. The only thing that he might be able to do, potentially, but probably not, is remain as president. I am told this tape is that incriminating, and they're worried about it right now at the White House. They know about it. They know it's out there. There may be more than one, and it makes a lot of sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, something's happening. Something's happening with this family. There is a flipped switch that has gone on, and suddenly it's all collapsing. And trust me when I say They didn't want it to collapse. Something has happened. Joe Biden was, in my estimation, supposed to step aside. And he wouldn't. And he didn't. Don't give a monster a cookie. Joe Biden is himself a monster. And so now they're intending on destroying him the way that they destroy anyone else. This is the only way that they can ensure that Joe Biden continues to stay on message. What's going to happen? I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. Kash Patel will join us in a moment here, and I look forward to talking with Kash about it because it's very interesting to see this all happening in real time. It's very interesting to see corporate press finally turning on the Bidens. CNN did an entire breakdown of the Biden crime family, ripped open Hunter Biden's laptop live on air. When was the last time you saw, when did you ever see that happen? The laptop was anathema, it was like a cursed object from Harry Potter. You couldn't touch it, right? Beetlejuice. You can't, it's a whole Horcrux, right? You shouldn't touch it. And now suddenly CNN is opening up the laptop and confirming their reporting through Hunter Biden's laptop. The stuff's insanity. Here's CNN on the number of times that Joe Biden met Hunter Biden's business partners. This was broadcast. This was a message. Watch.
Over the following 3 weeks, Biden family members made a series of complicated financial transactions to hide the source of the China money. Here's how that happened. First, Northern International Capital, a Chinese company associated with CEFC, wired $5 million to Hudson West 3, a joint venture established by Hunter Biden and a CEFC associate. Then Hudson West 3 sent $400,000 to an entity owned and controlled by Hunter Biden. Next, Hunter Biden wired $150,000 to Lion Hall Group, a company owned by James and Sarah Biden. Sarah Biden then withdrew $50,000 in cash from Lion Hall Group. Later the same day, she deposited it into her and James Biden's personal checking account. A few days later, Sarah Biden cut a check to Joe Biden for $40,000. The memo line of the check said loan repayment.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a mistake on behalf of our producers, very rare one. That was not the correct CNN clip. The correct CNN clip is currently being loaded. My apologies on that, although quite interesting as it does pertain to the outline of the Biden family corruption. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's play the CNN clip. This is actually the CNN clip that I wanted to show you. This is the warning sign. So line them all up. The FBI is leaking tapes of Biden crimes to the Washington Post. CNN is now given the green light to go into Hunter Biden's laptop and rip through it for information damaging to Joe Biden. And what do they find? Joe Biden has been lying. Look, fat.
Despite his denials, a CNN review of the laptop data as well as other public material shows that Joe Biden did interact with some of his son's associates while serving as vice president, though it's unclear exactly what was discussed. One example, the Republican site, Miguel Alemán Magnani, a Mexican businessman and son of the former president who Hunter was trying to woo. In 2014, Alemán Magnani and his dad were photographed at the White House with then Vice President Biden. In a later email, Hunter Biden reminds Alemán Magnani of the favors he's done for him. We have been talking about business deals and partnerships for 7 years. I have brought every single person you have ever asked me to bring to the effing White House and the Vice President's house and the inauguration. Hunter Biden bluntly acknowledged the power of the Biden name in a memoir, writing that the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, which put him on its board, considered my last name gold.
I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
So wait a second. CNN is now saying, based on all the evidence we found inside of Hunter Biden's laptop, are you kidding me? What world do we live in? What timeline are we living in? So the FBI is leaking on Hunter. Now, how do you know? How do you know that the Bidens are not in the good graces any longer of our intel agencies and our federal law enforcement? The most dutiful and obedient members of the corporate press are now giving messages overtly. Remember, the mob gives messages overtly, right? They'll send you a package, an Amazon box with a lead pipe in it, and say, I hope your kneecaps survive the holidays. This is how the mob works. How are they doing this? They're sending out Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki, we lovingly call her Peppermint Patty, Pippi Longstocking, some of the old Jen Psaki-isms, dig them all up out of the earth. Jen Psaki has a show now on MSNBC, which is effectively saying she has a show on CIA news, and she is telling the Bidens to shut up, to stop talking. Have you ever heard her talk like this? This is incredible. Jen Psaki says White House needs to put a muzzle on Hunter Biden. Oh, baby. If this ain't a warning, if this isn't the end times, check this out.
Look, I think if you're sitting in the White House right now, you're like, please, Hunter Biden, we know your dad loves you. Please stop talking in public. This is not helpful to any of them for him to be out there. But at the same time, the president loves his son. That takes precedent over anything else. That is appealing. I'm thinking of the woman in your focus group who talked about family. He loves his son. He loves his family. He's worried about his mental health. But yes, the White House would like him to probably go away right now.
Yeah, we want the Bidens to go away right now. You ever heard anything like that? You ever heard anything like, boy, would be a bad thing if you happen to tiptoe through the tulips, perhaps on a Tuesday night. That would be not great for your health. Boy, sure would be terrible if you happen to look up at the moon and sing fa la la during this Christmas season. You could find yourself in a dumpster or sleeping with the fishes. I mean, it's incredible. The overt nature of what they're doing right now. So Jen Psaki's like, the Bidens will be disappeared if they don't shut up. The Washington Post is getting leaks from the FBI from a decade ago. This is not recent news. From decades ago, the FBI is going, here's the tapes. Here's just the first batch. This is the first tranche of tapes. And now Hunter Biden is being ordered to appear before a federal court in order to answer for his tax crimes, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter Biden will make his first appearance in California on 9 tax charges on January 11th. So buckle up. We tell you this next year is going to be a wild ride. Hunter Biden on his tax charges in California. Now, these tax charges are unbelievable. If you ever want to read some gloves off material, go ahead and read the actual filing by the federal government against Hunter Biden. The quotes are brutal. Alex, grab me some of those quotes from the actual filing itself. The quotes say that Hunter Biden spent money on everything except for paying his taxes, including hookers, including sex trafficking. They know they got him, baby, and they're now flexing. Even CNN is like sitting here aghast. Here's our salt that lib for the day. CNN sitting here like sobbing on camera as they hold up the charges against Hunter Biden, being like, they just hit the guy with a stack that's going to land him in prison for potentially the rest of his life. Hunter Biden's not a very healthy man. 17 years worth of federal tax charges filed against Hunter Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how CNN reacted to it live on air. Salting, ladies and gentlemen, that lib. We don't have it? We don't have it? No?
No, it's not living.
Oh, we don't have the salt that lib. All right, well, we're good. Okay, fine. We'll play the clip anyway. Here we go, CNN.
Breaking news, because we've just gotten hold of the new Hunter Biden indictment. I'm going to go back to CNN's Paula Reed. What have you learned, Paula?
Well, I understand. I have the indictment right here. It's voluminous. It's 56 pages. But in going through this, the Justice Department details the allegations supporting these 9 counts that they have filed against Hunter Biden. They include 3 felony tax offenses and 6 misdemeanor tax offenses. Now, to put that in context, Hunter Biden was hoping to resolve this investigation by pleading guilty to just 2 misdemeanors. But here, the Justice Department is alleging that he engaged in a 4-year scheme in which they say he chose not to pay at least $1.4 million in self-assessed federal taxes he owed between 2016 and 2019. And then they also accuse him of trying to evade the assessment of taxes for 2018 when he filed false returns.
They have a line in these charging documents against Hunter that goes something like this. He spent money on drugs, escorts, this is reading to you directly from the charges against Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden spent money on drugs, escorts, girlfriends, luxury hotels, rental property, exotic cars, clothing, and other items of a personal nature. In short, everything but his taxes. Exact quote from the federal government. Then they published Hunter Biden's texts. You want to know what really breaking someone looks like? Publish their texts with their baby mama. Ooh, man. You think you're a dirty family. The federal government you ain't got nothing on the federal government. Bidens think they're tough. Federal government published Hunter Biden's text with his baby mama saying, I don't got no cash. Baby mama, drama. And in the same line says that Hunter Biden was paying escorts $385,000 per year. By the way, that's the median price of an American household. Like American house, like you buy a house. The median price of an American house, that's what Hunter spent a year on hookers. Sex trafficked hookers? Not sure. But boy, man, that's dirty. Whew! That's dirty when you're publishing the texts with your ex-wife about alimony and then linking them up to your hooker payments. Baby, these are the kind of things that have Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, one of our favorites, asking, wait a second, like, this is the federal government saying they have them all on sex trafficking, right? We know for a fact that during one of Hunter Biden's benders, the Secret Service broke down his door. This has been well reported. Broke down his door to say you're using Celtic's card. Celtic was the Secret Service name for Joe Biden. You're using his card for sex trafficking. So meaning you're linking Joe Biden to your sex crimes. And the Secret Service had to break down his door to try and prevent that from happening. Senator Ron Johnson's asking, wait a second, we're going to go after Joe Biden on these sex crimes? Obviously this human trafficking? Yeah, that's the next phase. Get ready for that one. And try and explain that away. Have the corporate media explain away the treatment of women inside of the Biden family. The number of Russian hookers and Ukrainian hookers that were taken advantage of and trafficked by the Bidens. Try explaining that one in a headline, New York Times. Do your best, Atlantic. Trying to figure that out. Joe Biden was providing jobs for young, vulnerable women. He's a job creator. That's coming soon from the Atlantic. Check this out from Senator Johnson asking the right questions.
Another thing that's, I think, very troubling, I think the media really needs to ask this, Hunter, I know you're troubled. I know you had a drug problem, but not everybody with a drug problem spends $800,000 on women and adult entertainment abusing sex trafficked women. That'd be a question for the media. How many women, Hunter, did you abuse that were trafficked through international sex trafficking rings? It is grotesque. And, I know President Biden was shelling out or offering to pay about $100,000 over a 4-month period when Hunter was spending tens of thousands of dollars on these women. So again, this is corruption. It is vile. And for Hunter to come out here and play the sympathy card and say that, we're attacking him, we're not. We just need to get to the truth because an American president, part of this, the head, the top, the pinnacle of this Biden crime family is compromised, and it could be impacting our national security.
Do you see what's happening there? Yeah, so Hunter Biden paid off for all these hookers, but didn't his dad actually pay for all the hookers? Isn't it actually Joe Biden who's trapped in this little scandal? And of course, we know that Joe Biden has questionable morals, flexible morals. He did marry his babysitter, right? He did cheat on his wife with his babysitter. Her name's Jill. She's the world's foremost shower curtain salesperson as she models them in all of the dresses that she wears. Bed Bath & Beyond. Really deeply thankful for Jill Biden. Jill Biden cheated on her husband with Joe. He's still alive, and he's in public saying it. There's interview after interview. We look forward to interviewing the guy someday. We really want to do a whole special on this guy. Joe Biden stole my wife. They're immoral people. And so what comes next? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to talk about the intel agencies turning on a sitting president, there's only one person that you book for that conversation. That man's name is Kash Patel. And we are honored to have Kash Patel join the show now. Kash, what's up, man? How you doing? Are the intel agencies finally turning on Joe?
The intel, great to be with you, Benny. The intel agencies, it's not that they're turning on Joe. They've had the intelligence. It's that they got the order from the top, the head government gangsters, to say, we cannot stay in power if Joe Biden remains in power. And so what we have to do is what we did during Russiagate and Jan 6th and Ukraine impeachment 1 and 2, leak insensitive information to your partners in the media, CNN, the Washington Post, and the New York Times, and start the narrative that Joe Biden must go because of these misgivings that him and Hunter have created. They won't actually indict him in the court of public opinion, but they'll come up to the 1 yard line. And that's the operation. And now they're doing it.
I couldn't believe this Washington Post article. We're going to put it up on screen, but like the Washington Post article, here's all these recordings from 10 years ago of your brother. I mean, whoa, man, like those are dirty. That's dirty tactics. Here's the Hunter Biden tax charges filing. Here are all these texts with your ex about alimony while you were paying hookers. I mean, yo, the government plays dirty, man.
And it's illegal. But since it's them and they're pushing their narrative, no one's, of course, going to come after him. It's not like Chris Wray and Merrick Garland are going to go arrest these people. I mean, if you had a single tier system of justice, I'm not defending the conduct of Hunter, but I am arguing for the constitutional application of the law. The FBI allowed confidential, possibly classified information to be illegally leaked from an investigation just to advance a narrative that Chris Wray, Merrick Garland, and the heads of the Washington Post want, which is if Joe Biden stays in power, we, the mainstream media, will lose, and we have to get a better opponent than Joe Biden for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump's going to kick his butt.
Yeah, so it does seem like there is like full scale panic, a lot of buttons being hit right now. One of those buttons is a binder went missing of CIA material. This binder was locked inside of a safe, which was locked inside of another safe called a turducken, I guess. You would probably know more about that than I, but these alarm bells went off, and we did a whole show yesterday on it about, wait a second, so the CIA is losing these binders of Russian intelligence information. That sounds like what Kash told us nigh on 18 months ago when he was in studio. And sure enough, you said they have all of this information exonerating Donald Trump in the Russiagate ordeal, hoax, and the government is sitting on it. They won't allow it to be made public. And now suddenly those binders go missing. What's going on, Kash?
It is the ultimate government con job. Nobody lost that binder. The Russians and the Iranians didn't break into the Central Intelligence Agency, then break into a SCIF, then break into a safe, and then secretly escape with the materials so they could blame Donald Trump for missing documents. The CIA knows exactly where that binder is. So does the Department of Justice. But their grundoons in the media are like, how do we turn this on Donald Trump? Because it actually exonerates Donald Trump. So what do? We make it look as if Donald Trump stole the binder, which is completely preposterous. They actually know that. And oh, by the way, there's an email from the Department of Justice to the National Archives that says the binder has been returned. Thank you for giving it to us. That's their email. What, did Merrick Garland lose it? Did the head librarian, release it to somebody with a government credit card and say, thanks for renting out Donald Trump's exoneration binder? This is a total disinformation operation by the mainstream media. They are in, as you said, full panic mode. The documents in that binder, which I still can't talk about, completely exonerate Donald Trump. And of course, it goes missing in an election year. These people in Congress need to hold the CIA, the NRA, the librarians, and the DOJ accountable. And they're just not doing it. It's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing? Oh, I saw you give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word, or whoever that guy is, as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. But how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA, and we can't even get basic documents out? This is why America hates Congress. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
So are you, like, in closing here, I want to just be very clear. Republicans could get Epstein's list out now? Like, how would that process work?
Simple. One subpoena to the FBI. Give me the list. Oh, you don't want to give me the list and you're going to break the law and commit contempt of Congress? We're going to take your money. We're going to take Chris Wray's private jet. Taxpayer-funded G5 rides across the country to his Appalachian State vacation home down to Georgia and all over the rest of the place. That guy doesn't need a G5 government-funded jet. And the second you take that money, you get Epstein's list.
Here's the problem, Cash, is that they shut down the Lolita Express. So how are these guys going to fly on a private jet anymore? I mean, it's really a quandary, my friend.
Oh, man.
Why are they protecting the pedophile? Really, the answer to that question is the real answer to everything. Why are they protecting the pedophiles? Find the answer to that one. I think you'll, well, you won't like the result, but at least it'll be true. Kash Patel, thank you so much for your pursuit of truth. Government Gangsters. Go check out Kash's brand new book.
Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate being with you. And yes, bestseller just in time for the holidays. We got the receipts. You want to know how to get the receipts and the book? GovernmentGangsters.com.
GovernmentGangsters,
my friend.
.com. Merry Christmas, Kash. Put on your big boy pants and get Epstein's list, is what Kash Patel says. Ladies and gentlemen, we want Epstein's list out in public. I don't care. If it was full of Republicans, good. What I mean by that is expose evil. Human beings are fallible. Expose the evil. Let it come out. We're adults. We can take it. Who's on it? Who's on it? We can handle it. And by the way, like, that just doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter to me. There's some things that are bigger than, like, your political stripe and the banner that you hold over your head. Whatever color, red, blue, purple, doesn't matter, man. There's moral questions at stake with this. Were you friends of the world's foremost predator? Did you fly in his plane to that island? Well, then you need to go to Guantanamo. You need to be in Guantanamo Bay. And you're a monster. And you need to be you need to be shamed, locked up. Your career needs to be over. And that's it. Wash your hand. If that means that Republicans lose the Senate and the House for the rest of my life because all those guys go to prison, I have no idea if there's any Republicans on that list. Based on all my knowledge, there's only Democrats on that list, and that's why the list ain't out. I'm simply saying that there's moral questions that are bigger than party. And shame on Democrats. You absolute vicious goblins for defending this man. You sick monster. Now, apparently, there's been a court order. Let's get that up. There's been a court order saying that Jeffrey Epstein's list must be released. A based judge has said that you gotta send out 170 of Jeffrey Epstein's high-profile associates will be named in documents in the first days of 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to want to stay tuned because let me tell you what, when that happens, this show will go live and we will read every single one of those names on air. And if you're watching this show on a mobile device, which you probably are, let me recommend Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is the cell phone company that we use. It is a cell phone company that we love. They keep us connected across the country. We've been doing a lot of Christmas travel. Very, very much. I do not like leaving the studio, but Patriot Mobile's got us when we are on the road. You can keep your number, keep your existing phone. For a limited time, you can get a free smartphone with Patriot Mobile. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny, 972-PATRIOT, and use promo code Friday76 to get a free smartphone before the holidays. patriotmobile.com/Benny to stay connected. So back to Axios. You'll remember that Axios is the same outfit that asked Joe Biden those uncomfortable questions about his son. Axios now saying Biden's age denialism sparks internal tensions, aides say. And this is interesting. President Joe Biden's reluctance to acknowledge his physical limitations at age 81 is causing some tension on his team. Senior aides and First Lady Jill Biden push him to rest more and be vigilant about his health. Why it matters. Current and former aides say Joe Biden is extraordinarily energetic for his age. Shut up. But his repeated insistence that he feels so young can draw eye rolls. Some current and former aides believe Biden doesn't realize how old he comes across. In conversations with aides and friends, Biden frequently says some version of, I feel so much younger than my age. You sure about that? You sure about that? Managing Biden's schedule and energy has become crucial to his re-election campaign, with widespread voter concerns about his ability to do the job. He'll be 86 if he gets re-elected. Ooh, baby, the fix is in. Current and former Biden aides say he often pushes to do more travel and events than they think he should. Now, what does this mean when you're looking at Joe Biden tripping and falling, and unable to walk, and walking around like a T183, TI-83? What's the term for a Terminator? TI-1080? Haven't seen Terminator in such a long time. I should watch that over the Christmas break. He walks like the robot, right? Wait, I think we have actually a mashup of Joe Biden versus a robot walking. It's the exact same thing. Just like with his son, it's all delusional. Just like with the agencies, like turning on Biden, as Kash just said, like, listen, they know he's going to lose. So they'll destroy him in order to replace him. He lives inside of a delusion. He lives inside of a fake reality. And this is what happens 70 years in the U.S. government. You've just been psyoped. Your brain is fried. Joe's brain is obviously fried. Here, listen to Joe Biden answer questions about not being in the best health.
Taxpayers already are chipping in, paying a lot of money here at NIH to get these brilliant scientists to go out and find cures, find answers to drug problems, to drugs, with the use of drugs for health problems.
Hey, Joe Biden, how old are you? Please tell us. What's your age? Go.
Over $1,300 million.
But about $1 billion, $300 million. Ooh, man, how bad are things getting? Kamala Harris is more popular than Joe Biden now. Okay, so Kamala Harris has regularly enjoyed having a approval rating that is like 10 points below Joe Biden. Now even Kamala Harris is viewed as more favorable than Joe Biden as Democrats panic over dismal 2024 polls. Americans have found something they like less than Kamala Harris. It's 4 more years of Joe Biden. A new poll out Monday shows that the Veep's favorability rating inching above the commander-in-chief's for the first time, as reports indicate growing alarm inside of the White House about Biden's prospects for 24. The Monmouth University poll shows the 81-year-old receiving just 34% approval rating, lowest in the polls tracking administration, and down 20 points from peak in April 2021, a 61% disapproval rating. Harris fares a little better, but 35% approval rating, well, that's slightly better than her boss. So, wow. So 34% approval rating for Joe, 35 for Kamala. I see this as an absolute win, says Kamala Harris, while she rambles on about school buses having a green heart. 54% of Democrat voters want to replace Joe Biden as nominee, a pure plurality. Holy smokes. Democrat Party voters unhappy Joe Biden, 81, presumptive Democrat nominee likely challenge former President Donald Trump. Fox News polling reveals the polls highlight the disconnect between young people and Joe Biden because they all say that Joe Biden is pure and total hot garbage. Ladies and gentlemen, one final thing we didn't get to cover as far as the Biden criminality and the intel agencies and federal law enforcement putting pressure on the Bidens. They're now going after his daughter. I just wanted to hit this really quickly because this is really important. Like, they use pressure points to go after people. And before we move on from the Bidens, like, they're going after now Biden's daughter, Ashley, for $5,000 in taxes from a lien placed on her property in Pennsylvania, dating back to 2015. So they're going through and they're going after the Biden kids. Hunter, Ashley, Naomi Biden, the Biden grandkids, forcing Biden's like public and overt humiliation. These are all signs. These are all signs. It's getting bad out there for Joe. And it's about to get even worse. So the longest border with Mexico is the southern border. Texas is the state that has the longest physical land border with Mexico. Texas governor just signed a bill making it illegal to enter the state of Texas from Mexico. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill making Texas the first state in the union to give law enforcement officers the authority to arrest illegal criminal migrants who enter the state. The measure, SB 4, was signed into law on Monday during a ceremony at the base of the border wall in Brownsville, Texas. The bill is part of a package of measures designed to decrease the flow of migrants entering the state from Mexico. The Texas state legislature passed the bill during 2 special sessions this fall. Governor Abbott was joined in the bill signing by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, National Border Security Council President Brandon Judd. I don't know how you have to have bills like this. How does it even work? Like, shouldn't it just be illegal, period? Senate Bill 4 from Special Session 4 makes illegal entry into Texas from a foreign country a criminal offense. The law is the latest attempt at the state to crack down on illegal criminal migrants entering the state between ports of entry. By creating the offense of illegal re-entry, offenders can be penalized with sentences of up to 20 years in prison. It also provides the mechanism to order the offender to return to the foreign nation from which they entered so you can deport them. The law provides civil immunity and indemnification for local and state government officials, employees, and contractors for lawsuits resulting in enforcing these provisions. So they're going to protect you when you're a business or a government, and like the federal government sues you. Good for the state of Texas. Hot damn. Good for the state of Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, does it feel like we have the energy on our side? Feel like things are changing and happening quickly and happening fast? Holy smokes. It really indeed does. Make sure that you remain grounded. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel, and make sure you keep tuning in to this show as we will cover, obviously, all of these major changes, especially for the good. Why did it take so long for Texas to do this? This seems like such a common sense thing. Why did it take so long? I do not know. Why does it take so long for you to listen to me and for me to tell you that you need to diversify a little bit your investments, diversify a little bit, and protect yourself and your future this Christmas? Gold, ladies and gentlemen. My sweet little gold coin that I have here in the studio, Allegiance Gold, are my friends and partners in ensuring that my family has just a bit of gold. It sure is nice to have a little bit of gold. It's up in my safe. Do I look at it in the moonlight when I'm smoking a cigar on my back porch? Yes, indeed I do. I'm not ashamed of admitting that to you. It is wonderful. It's wonderful to have something of real value that you can hold in your hand, and it's also wonderful to have something that protects against inflation, real inflation, the killer of economies. Go to protectwithbenny.com today or call 844-66-BENNY. Get up to $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. Protect your future now with Allegiance Gold. Ladies and gentlemen, we will also protect this Christmas season against the forces of evil with our verse of the day, Psalms 16:8. Keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. 2024 is going to be a year of, getting shaken. You've already seen some of the stuff getting rolled out. It's a new disease from China. Oh, the election machines, they all glitched and they switched your votes. Get ready for a lot more of that. Holy moly. But we shall persevere. God is not done with our nation yet. I think we'll know it when God's done with us. I think you kind of know it, right? When God turns your back on the nation. All God ever asks for is for good men and women to stand up. All God ever asks for is for there to be one. Find me one good man, one good woman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll save Sodom and Gomorrah. Are we living in that right now? Yes. Yes, we are. And so now is the time to keep your focus. Now is the time to keep your eyes trained on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Keep your eyes on the Lord always. And ensure that we can preserve this, the greatest nation on earth. Do it with me. Do it with the Benny Brigade. And join us in the Salty Army as we march forward to victory. Merry Christmas. See ya.